Hello, this is Jacob and Matt here with Small Business Chat, coming at you with some news articles about trademarks, some other just questions for Matt over here. Start off another podcast, so Matt, say hello to everyone.
Hey everyone, do I get a chance to ask you questions too?
Of course, you can ask me any question you want.
Anything?
Anything you want.
Well, we'll get into it. We'll get into that later.
Awesome. So just starting out here, like we do on our last podcast, some helpful questions and tips that you can get from a successful business owner. So I just wanted to ask you, Matt, just getting into it, what is like one of your biggest role models growing up?
Oh wow, wow, one of my biggest role models. Candidly, I like the titans of industry. I know I'll be pretty controversial about this. I always liked Donald Trump as a businessman back in the day. And I'm not getting into the politics and such, but The Art of the Deal, I know that we now know was ghostwritten. This is actually a really good book and all that sort of stuff. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, I love that book. Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur and you haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, pause this, go out, buy it, read it, and unpause this. And then of course, like anyone from like Richard Branson to even more modern ones, more modern ones, younger like Mark Cuban and all that. But from a business perspective, those are like my heroes. You're asking business perspective, right?
Yeah, business perspective, or just in this case scenario, yeah.
No, like general life,
Yes, you could. I mean, out of that perspective, yeah. Who's your biggest role model growing up? Maybe when you were a kid, maybe even. Who's favorite movie actor?
Well, like I was a kid, like 4 decades ago.
Yeah.
Like James Dean.
How
long do you think I am, dude?
I mean, that was one of his favorites.
They're like dust coming out of me and stuff like that. Like, dude, I'm like that. Okay, anyway. No, I mean, but again, okay, so in my home gym, I've got 4 posters. Sylvester Stallone, his speech from, Rocky, we talk about the Rocky, was it 6?
Yeah, Rocky 6, yeah.
About, it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit, stand up. Arnold Schwarzenegger, talk about the American dream coming over here with, 2 pennies to rub together and now look at him. Kobe Bryant, obviously, guy that basically personified the fact that it's not just natural ability, but it's natural ability with amazingly hard work, and that equals great success. And obviously, the other poster that I love is Dwayne Johnson, that sits on my wall up there, and talking about success as a result of consistent effort. And you're not always going to win every single day, but you're going to win more days than not when you actually put that effort in. So those are just to name a few.
Gotcha. Yeah. Speaking of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, we do have some interesting stuff to talk about. Some news-related things about he finally got his name, The Rock, trademarked and protected. So that's another cool thing we'll get into.
I see what you did there. You were trying to get me to say, because like Dwayne Johnson, you were trying to get me there. So you the segue. We call that the industry segue. That's
awesome. A good segue for that. Speaking about another segue, what makes a good sales or also just a leader in general for a team, man? What do you think? What are some good principles or things about them that make them a good leader?
Number one, be principled. And being able to articulate the reasons behind why you're a principal. Number 2, you can't shift like the tides. You can't the old expression, no matter how hard the wind blows, the mountain will never bow to it. As a leader, you have to be principled, be able to get consensus behind what you're doing and why. But at the end of the day, you're the one that steers the ship, and it's your responsibility. It's you learn and you grow, in a business as you learn. But so many times people will try to take you in different directions. People that maybe haven't been down as many paths as you have been down. And there's a reason why captains are the captain and the deckhands are the deckhands, because it's not that they're stupid or anything like that. It's just that they just don't know what they don't know. And a captain is usually more experienced. So same with a leader, you have to be principled. You have to be able to hopefully get people to go behind your vision and actually follow you. You have to let them know what's in it for them when they do, because otherwise people aren't going to really want to follow you. But at the end of the day, you've got to keep that principle and that drive. And basically, in my opinion, you still have to outwork everybody.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's some good stuff you brought up there. And also, I think it relates to a lot of big leaders are coaches for football teams, right? And one of your favorites is Nick Saban. So, what are some things?
Bye, Nick. We're gonna miss you.
Yeah, exactly. That happened. But what are some things that are to him that you aspire to be. I know that's kind of like a role model too for yourself.
Because you mentioned like what I mentioned every day in every sales meeting.
Yeah, Nick Saban, yeah, it's instilled in my brain now.
Basically, focus on the small details, and then the big picture will basically take care of itself. Like if you're doing your job to the absolute best of your ability at every single moment, okay, you will be successful. Now you need to basically have a good leader in place if you're actually if you're working for someone, and they need to have a good vision for where you are going in the company and what you need to do. But so often, you can actually see that, someone in an organization is worried about what somebody else is doing in the organization, and then they start actually failing in their job. And looking back at what Coach Saban taught us, it's, hey man, don't worry about what that other player is doing. It's his responsibility to get his job done. If you're sitting there staring at them, you can't get your job done. So you need to worry about every single play, doing the best you can every single day in your job. So if you're supposed to if you're in a sales organization, you're supposed to make 100 calls a day, don't make 45 calls a day and wonder why the other 7 teammates that you have aren't making as many calls as they should be, because you're not focusing on you anymore. You need to do exactly what you're supposed to do, get it done every single day, and that's one of the main things that Coach Saban taught to me is it's the little things that you do in repetition that leads to big results. And I think that's one of the enduring legacies that he will have on the game and his leadership principles in general. There's a reason why he has 7 national titles to his name. It's not a coincidence. He's a fantastic coach, and we wish him all the best in his retirement.
Fantastic leader. Yeah, fantastic leader, and that's really good to hear. And also, just some other questions here. How do you plan financially for a business future? Like, is there a specific step-by-step process on how to just plan for either maybe like a year ahead or 5 years ahead or anything like that?
It did. What changed my life about 4 or 5 years ago is I picked up a book, and forgive me to the author, I can't remember the name of the author, and it's called Profit First, and I highly recommend anyone pick up a copy of Profit First. So when your business is, when you're first starting off, obviously most of us bootstrap businesses, few of us, the trademark company, I think we've helped well over 100,000 businesses now. And of those 100,000, I would say less than 1% have venture capital. The vast majority are bootstrapped, meaning, if you don't know what bootstrap means, you're funding this on your 401k or the money you put away from your paper route or whatever. So you're self-funding this thing. And so the first thing is business has to make a profit. That's the whole point of a business, and Profit First talks about that. But then as you make every dollar, in that first, 50,000 that you make, you're like, yeah, I got this. Then you make 100,000, then you make a little bit more. And I'm talking about the business's overall revenue. Break it down into what Profit First teaches you is, you're going to put away so much for this, so much for that. So you're having an account for operating expenses. Every dollar you make, I think it's like 25% goes into your operating expenses, 5% goes into this, 10% goes into that. But if you are rigid on that, first, you still got to be making money. But second, then it'll structure you in place. So you're putting away some for a rainy day. And what also I learned about that is, years ago, we didn't have reserves. And if you're a business and you don't have reserves, you're going to have a problem. At some point, because there's going to be a time where the business needs to call on those reserves.
Emergency.
Yeah, we know in our industry that every year, January, February, March are our hot months. The summers are a little bit slower, comes back in the fall, etc. So you want to be able to have those reserves. And it's amazing how you can run your business when you have reserves, and you're not running around panicked all the time about money. You can actually run it the way it's supposed to be run. Principal, leadership, Nick Saban, without running around going, oh my gosh, we got to sell something today, because otherwise we're going to shut down. And we've been through that. And when you share that with your employees, it's one of the worst things that can ever happen, because they're like, wait, we're so tight to the margins that we're going to not make payment. We're out, bye. And they'll go and they'll leave. So in those tough times, everything's always great because you have reserves. So one of those things is, financially, how do you run it? Pick up a copy of Profit First. I highly recommend it. No, I'm not getting paid for this or anything because I can't remember.
No sponsorships?
Yeah, no sponsorships. Certainly not yet and such. But, but pick up a copy of it, and I highly recommend using the system that the author recommends in that. But then, resist the urge for the first couple of years of your business, unless you're really just killing it, to go out and buy, and get the big house or whatever you happen to be working out, and put away for a rainy day. because you'll be glad you will, because you won't lose sleep at night like, okay, am I gonna make payroll next month? Am I gonna do this? Am I gonna do that? You're like, I got tons of money tonight. You know, what do I need to worry about? But then you can lead from a position of sort of fun and like, you know, having those reserves as opposed to leading from fear all the time, which unfortunately part of entrepreneurship, 50% of entrepreneurs are basically just terrified every day when they wake up. And you will get more away from that if you financially plan properly.
And on that, is there a certain way you should do it? Like, okay, this amount of money that I just got goes into the reserves. Is there a special way you do it, or just cut it right like that?
Yeah, Profit First teaches all of that, and like, I'm sorry, I'm just remembering, but forgive me, I think that it's 50% that goes into your operating account. What's operating account? Operating account is basically your bills. You know, basically, you know, your mortgage, you know, all that sort of stuff. A certain portion is put away for taxes as well. You always want to make sure that that's put away immediately and such. And then there is a certain portion that's put away for, like I always said, Profit First, right? I want to say it's maybe 10%, but that Profit First, it's very easy to slide into like more of a slush fund and all that. But also when you see that you can't every day make your bills and stuff, it's one of the easiest ways to find out that, hey, my company's not making enough money to cover all of our bills when you operate this system. And so even without having a balance sheet from an accountant, it automatically tells you, you're like, okay, well, I have to borrow from the profit account to pay payroll. That means we're not making enough money according to the system. And I can tell you, it's a great system. And you know, kudos to the author. You know, the other way to do it is obviously have a great accountant that just gives you a balance sheet every single day. The Profit First one is before you even hear from your accountant, you know, because you can watch your accounts, your balances and your money go up and down. And if it's going way down and you're looking at hey, payrolls in a week, you know right there, we have to cut expenses or make more money. But again, if you have the reserves, then you can just go on and give a good positive leadership speech, as opposed to running around and saying, oh my God, make more money or we're going out of business, and then everyone just quits on you.
Exactly, so it's definitely a stress relief, not for yourself, but also on the people that work for you too.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, great. And then just a couple other questions before we get into the news for the day. Last question then. Have you ever taken out a business loan, and if you have, would you recommend it? It's actually a really good question. I always wondered that.
Yeah, from Vito's business loans. No, I'll admit that, and for at least one of my businesses, there was a time early on that we had some catastrophic events just came all together, and the answer is yes. I've taken out business loans. I've taken out a small business loan in the past, and I've also taken out someone from that is what I would consider almost like a predatory lender. They look for businesses that are struggling, and sorry to just give you a blatant plug, but I wrote a book, The Maverick Method, right? I actually talk about this in the book, and there was a time that we had such 4 or 5 just absolutely catastrophic things happen to this business at a time. I mean, just like literally like meteors hitting it. Like you couldn't even anticipate this stuff if you wanted to, right? And so, as I preached in the book, it's basically I did take out a business loan at that juncture, and it was from quote unquote Vito's, loans and personal loan sharking and all that sort of stuff. But it was because I knew I had a path back to profitability because the circumstances were so unique that we encountered. I'm like, we have a good business model. We just got hit over the head repeatedly 4 times. So at that juncture, we didn't have the ability on a short, the average business loans may take a month or 2 to basically get approved. If you go to a large lender like Bank of America or someone like that, which we love our Bank of America, but they are a very large organization, and there's a reason why they've been around for so long is they don't just throw money out the window. So sometimes if you need it, I need money like by the end of the week, you can get it from somebody, but they're going to charge you a tremendous amount of interest, and they're going to require that they have a direct pull on your account daily. And so I knew that we, at the time, basically could get out of the hole, and we did. And we did a great job. The only reason I would recommend to take the loan would be if you have a plan to pay that back. Because as a small business, if you don't have that plan, and let me distinguish between a plan and a wish or a hope. Okay? Mm-hmm. A plan is, I know that we've been averaging 7,000 in revenue a day. We can support, making sure that the loan performs, and we're gonna get out of this hole, okay?
Gotcha.
A wish or a dream is, I have no idea how to get us back to profitability, but let me just take a loan out,
Get the money.
get the money so I can make payroll and all that sort of stuff. And again, as I preached in the book, it's probably the hardest thing that you'll ever do as a small business owner, but end it. If you don't have that plan, don't take a loan, because loan is debt. And whether it's a big bank or whether it's, Vito's loan sharking or whatever's giving you that money, they're gonna get it back from you, the business, or you're gonna have to sign a personal guarantee and you're gonna lose your house, your car, and all that sort of stuff. So should you take a loan out? Should you financing? Absolutely, if you have a plan and how you're gonna use it. Now, hopefully you take a loan out because you're like, hey, we're gonna scale the business, things are going amazing. We just need another 200,000 to really ramp up our marketing, so we'll make 500,000 or 600,000 more this year. So it's scalable, and that's a really positive way to look at it. Should you do loans to go into debt when your business is failing? Only if you have a plan for it not to fail, and or if you experience, like I said, those catastrophic circumstances that we just were like, wow, well, it can't get any worse than this. Wait, what? Funny story, it just did. You're just like, holy crap. But you eventually you roll your sleeves up, and like my dad always said, it's 24 hours in the day, son. Roll your sleeves up and
Whatever you gotta do.
yeah, roll it up and work your way out. So we've all been there, unfortunately. So yeah,
Exactly. It's the same thing for, I just bought a house, for example, and, when you buy a house or you have kids or whatever it is, not saying I did, but.
you want to get something to do now?
Or on camera, live, on TV, maybe a few years. But, you obviously, the more things that you take on, you gotta work harder to be able to keep what you have.
So to clarify, maybe in a few years you're going to tell us if you have kids?
In a few years, yes.
You're going to have kids.
In a few years, I'm going to have kids.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Well,
we need to have that talk at some juncture, just let me know.
Gotcha. First one to die, speed out. So yeah, get to the last thing here for news related. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, a day ago, he got the rights for The Rock trademark, one of the most famous nicknames in entertainment. Can you think of any other famous nicknames? Just The Rock? I mean, it's
Rock. Oh, you're talking about from WWE?
Yeah, or just in general, any other famous nicknames?
Because we can all go through the litany of things, but The Rock was awesome.
Yeah.
The Rock was great. I mean, I still love, if you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of my things, that the charisma of, Mr. Johnson and stuff, that's great.
Exactly.
He basically played with a buddy of mine at University of
Really,
Miami.
The Rock?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he played with a guy named Kevin Patrick, who I played high school football against. And I believe they played at the same time down at the U and all that sort of stuff. Not like I just name dropped one removed. It's like, it was almost like playing 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's like 6 degrees of Dwayne Johnson, but it's only 1 degree with me. It's not like I ever met the guy. But back to your question. Freaking great thing. As I understand it though, with World Wrestling Entertainment, and all those types of places, they all, when you come in and you work for their organization, for the most part, they are going to register the trademark because it's their airwaves you're going over and all that sort of stuff. And so all of these guys, because we actually have a wrestler that actually works with us here. And so he's actually told us, he's like, yeah, that's generally the MO. And it's very difficult for them to get it away. And, because especially if, they acquired, distinctiveness during the time that they were wrestling for that. And it'd be very interesting to see what the case was, especially, what are WWE technically never abandoned it, and so they could argue that just permissible non-use for a period of time. And of course, if Mr. Johnson comes in, it's like, well, it can never be brought back without me. Technically, WWE can be like, yeah, we can get another dude and just name him The Rock, and basically continue use. So I wonder if there are any issues of abandonment in there. That, he was able to say, well, it was abandoned by them, so therefore I can actually get it, or if he just bought it from them or something.
Exactly. I got a lot of rocks in here. The Rock for filings that have been done before, but it looks like he's got the nickname. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, so just read some things from the article here.
Does it mean he's coming back?
No,
He's too big for that.
That is interesting though. I mean, I wonder
He's a year older than I am. I mean, he looks fantastic. He's big, but
I think it's just I guess just for entertainment in general that he got the name trademark.
Well, because he maybe he's going to start selling stuff. Like, I always thought you should actually have a line of cooking stuff.
Yeah.
Because you smell like what The Rock's cooking.
Well, he's got that clothing brand of the bowl. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Brahma Bowl.
Yeah, what's it called? What's this brand called again?
Brahma Bowl.
Brahma, that's what it's called?
With
Brahma Bowl?
Brahma.
Okay.
I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, just reading some things off the article is the name that from his professional wrestling days, Dwayne The Rock Johnson was called The Rock. That will change under a new agreement with the WWE, so it is with WWE.
WWE license it.
Under
Before he
which
bought it,
Johnson
yeah.
will also join the board of TKO Group.
That's what it is.
There it is. The sports and entertainment company that houses WWE and UFC. Oh, they do? I didn't know that TKO.
Yeah, so he's now a
owns
board of
UFC.
director for them now. That's
How
what
awesome would it be if he did UFC as well? Like, he's still getting, how old is he? Like in his 50s?
I'm 53, so he's 54. He should be 54. I think he's a year older than me. Now, he may be my age. He may be like right at 53.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. Still great shape, this guy.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
So are you.
I know, thank you. I appreciate you. I was waiting for the nod.
Exactly. We might film, we do a mustache smile every year, so maybe we'll film it live. You can put a GoPro on or something.
Maybe The Rock will come.
That'd be
this
cool.
year. Yeah.
You have his phone number?
I don't, but I'll call Mr. Patrick, my old nemesis from high school, and
There you go.
see if he has his number.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And also just some fun fact, The Rock was previously named from his father, WWE Hall of Famer Rocky Johnson, who was the first black champion in WWE, according to the WWE. Johnson just says a couple of things here. Dwayne says, I owe that name everything. Without that name, there'd be no wrestling career, there'd be no Hollywood career.
Yeah.
So he's very happy to say that.
If you ever watch any of his Dwayne Johnson's motivational stuff on YouTube, which again he's another one that I used to always do, because again his first dream was playing in the NFL. That didn't work out.
How long did that last? Did he even get drafted or anything?
Nah, so as he tells the story, and I think he was talking to the Lakers one time, and he tells the story. He's just like, I think he started as a junior defensive tackle for University of Miami, the defensive tackle, defensive end, and I mean this respectfully, some he says, some chubby guy, gets moved over from tight end, and all that sort of stuff. His senior year, and he basically whispers to Dwayne, he's like, dude, I'm gonna take your spot. And Dwayne's like, no, you ain't. He's like, dude, I'm gonna take your spot. And Dwayne's like, well, his name was Warren Sapp, and he ended up taking my spot, balling out, and basically being a Hall of Famer in the NFL. And unfortunately for Dwayne, he got virtually no playing time his senior year. Didn't get drafted. This is from him saying this, and had to go up to Canada and played a season or two in Canada, and then eventually gets cut from whatever Canadian team he's on, and he comes back to the U.S. with $7 in his pocket, and that's why his production company is called $7 or 7 something. And obviously he can tell the story a lot better than me. He's a little bit more charismatic than I am, but he says that's why too. When he tells the story, and again, some good advice for staying humble, is he always says is, so every time I have that smash movie premiere and stuff, and he didn't always have smash movie premieres. I mean, some of the stuff he did early on was, I have always liked it, but not everyone else has. And he's just tell he's like, always stay humble, because you remember those days when you were coming home, virtually bankrupt, $7 in your pocket, failed out of football and all sort of stuff, and then had to basically go and okay, fine, maybe I'll do this wrestling thing. Look where it went.
Yeah.
So I mean, just absolutely stunning, awesome, for Mr. Johnson. But again, watch his stuff online, because I'm another advocate of get your ass up in the morning and get to work.
What time do you wake up in the morning?
5
o'clock.
Yeah.
Every morning.
Yeah. And it's done that Saturday, Sunday too. That's right. Work 7 days a week. Why not? I mean, and again, Rock has a different career than we have, and such. But part of his job is keeping himself in the shape that he's in.
He almost has to, with the amount of movies he pours out every single year. I mean, he's like 2-3 movies a year, it feels like.
Yeah, and he's got to keep up with Kevin Hart too.
Exactly.
So he's up in the gym at 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And such, and but also I think that just drives him, and to be, because he's hitting it hard right now. And when you hit it hard, man, double down, triple down, and just enjoy it. So again, be part of the early risers club, because the other thing is other times. So for instance, just real quick on that, and I know we're going way long on this, and my phone may even start going beep 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 and all that sort of stuff soon. But just by 5 a.m., by 9 a.m., you got at least a half a day, and already everyone else is starting their day. So by the time we do our 9 a.m. kick meetings, I already have half day in. By the time I'm breaking for lunch at 12:30, I have a full day in. I now have a day and a half in right now as we finish this up because we're coming up on the 5 o'clock hour for everyone out there and such. And then I'll shut it down. Believe it or not, I will work a little bit more. I think one of the myths about successful people, by the way, it's a challenge, is that, you know, I think the .com era really made us think that you can go out there and be a billionaire with an idea and don't work. And I think that's one of the most harmful things that anyone can ever have, which is just, oh, it's just easy, I just come up with the idea. No, work your butt off. You know, and trust me, I have tons of stories about that, especially, again, not to throw down in that Maverick method, but we should have the Maverick method, we set up here. But anyways, but it's just, you know, just continue to work your butt off. You know, Dwayne does it, you know, and all that sort of stuff. And I think most successful people do. I think it's one of the myths we like to keep quiet, or some people think, you know, it just comes to me. No, man, they're working, they're hustling, they're working their asses off 24 hours a day. Even Richard Branson, who's notorious for this, look, he's got a supermodel on his back and he's jet skiing in the Caribbean on his private island.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, I bet still doing 10-hour days, you know, in his 70s. You know, now his days are different than your and mine because his are more thinking, where are we going strategically, and then just barking out a command and someone will do it because he's Richard Branson, but he's put in his time for, you know, 4, 5, 6 decades, and he's there. If you want to get there, if you're in your 20s or your 30s, roll them up, baby. There's 24 hours in a day. Get going.
Put in the work.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Alrighty, Matt. Well, and also the viewers out there, thank you so much for listening to our podcast today. There's more to come here soon, so appreciate your time watching, and have a great rest of our day.
Peace out.
Thank you.
Boom.